So clap, so clap.
Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium on the 23rd of September 2024. Today we're just going to run through a couple of things. What I want to talk about here is what I'm trying to do is simplify the process, because I feel that a lot of people are overcomplicating things and getting themselves into trouble. And so via configuration that we have on the software, I'll just bring that up here. Do I have two of those? Yeah, I need that one. Via this communication, this configuration option here, greater period multipliers, -1, 0, 1, we are able to see supply and demand zones from three time frames. The current time frame, which is the daily, the current time frame +1, which is the weekly, and current time frame -1, which is the 4-hour. So we're seeing all of these on this chart. If I zoom out a little bit here, the weekly charts here, you can see that we had the weekly one down here, price came to it, we went up. We have another weekly one up there by the looks of it. We have the daily one from this time frame, and then inside these bars, like this one here and this one here, we had the 4-hour one. Okay, and so what I want us to try and understand is that using a configuration like this, we can almost stay in one chart and still be able to see these zones. You can also do something like where you go to the 4-hour chart, and the 4 chart is interesting because on this chart you're able to see the major levels, the micro levels, and the levels that are currently on this chart. And this is more of a quicker configuration relative to the daily chart. Okay, and so I mean, it looks pretty noisy, which it is, but you don't have to focus on this. You have to focus on bleeding edge price. Okay, and so what we can see here is on this 4-hour chart, this morning we had an hourly zone that was formed within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 periods, so about 7 hours ago. It was formed, price came to it, we had a reaction, and now we're kind of sitting on that level just now. Okay, and so being able to see this stuff is super interesting. And also if we focus on this one here, I mean, here we have the daily zone with the parent, we have two 4-hour zones, we have the parent, we have the child. The parent's been tested, the child has not been tested, and all of this happens in a place where we could expect prices to bounce because of this. Okay, and so prices are probably going to have a bit of a bounce just there. Alarm just went off. Let me have a break and have a look at that quickly. Alright, got a bunch of alarms there. One of them went off, just had to have a look at that. I completely lost track of where I was, which is a blow, but it does not matter because we can use this price structure down here. We're on the 4-hour chart. We have a really nice 4-hour zone here, and the reason I like the 4-hour zone here is because we were formed just here. The buy zone was established there, telling us that we have interesting buy material just in here. Price came down to here, and then we went away. Okay, so that was an interesting spot, but we have not yet been back to this zone, not even the high that qualified this zone. And so should prices come back here, we could likely see a reaction. This is also the place where prices traded above here, almost here, and this is where we went to. Okay, so depending on how far up we go, if we continue to go higher, then I think that we'll probably tip the scale to the advantage of the sellers and maybe show less respect for this zone here. But what you need to do is you need to focus on the most recent swing. So from here to here, you have to know where you are relative to this swing. Okay, so here we have sell side, here we have the buy side, we have premium, we have discount. Okay, so quite a few things here, and we do have a couple of hourly zones in here. We've got this one here, but this one it might work. I don't know if it will or not, but there's a lot of trading in here, and which I don't like, but I do like the fact that it went from here up to here. So we had it like a buy zone that was really far away from this demand. So that could lead us to believe that we might have a bit of a reaction there. Also, when prices left here, this is where they took this area out. So it all originated from here. So we could watch that one for the future. But prices seem pretty keen on continuing to move higher. Let's have a look at a few more areas. Yes, so okay, so this is one that I think is kind of interesting, and the reason I think it's interesting is because if we go to the hourly chart, you can see it clearer. It's just a really nice departure, and one of the things that I like the most about this is that we had this, oops, wrong tool, price traded up to the zone, we failed, we did this. Okay, so should prices come back here, I'm thinking we're going to have a reaction, because this is what I refer to as that flip zone. And prices just kind of slowly wriggled pretty efficiently higher. We went down to here, and we saw big buying. And so I reckon if we get lower, we get into the zone here, I think this is going to be provide us a little bit of support. Also, we have a really nice micro zone just here, a half-an-hour zone. Okay, so this could be also very interesting. So what we would do in a situation like that is you can put your order in like I've done, but you can also wait, and you can wait for prices to move into a zone. Okay, so prices will come down, they kind of test the zone, then they would have a reaction, and typically prices will maybe run the lows to pick up some bids. And then what we need to do now is we need market structure to break. Okay, and why is that important? Well, market structure is just another way for us to assess supply and demand. Okay, so if we have price goes up, it goes down, and when prices go down, we're going to have some supply here. We're going to have a sell zone somewhere, let's say around here. And so if prices are able to consume that, I mean, what does that tell us about the demand and the buy zone down here? Well, it tells us a lot. It tells us that there was enough here to consume the liquidity here. And liquidity here was significant because it drove prices below this low here. Okay, and so all of these levels are linked together. And if you pay attention to them, you'll understand that there's a bit of a narrative going on. And if you've watched many of my videos, you'll notice how I like to go through and kind of talk this narrative out loud. And the narrative goes something like this. Okay, if I want to know if a zone is useful or not, then I'll do this. Okay, so we had an area of demand here, and we know it's demand here because we traded above this high just here. And we know that it's demand because it was tested several times. But now, notice that it is gone. And the area that removed it is, well, something in here. Okay? And so this is an area of focus for us in the future. Did prices respect it? No, they did not. They did not at all. They moved right through it. And the reason they did that is because, we're in an uptrend. So you can expect that. You don't want to be selling supply in an uptrend. You want to be buying demand only. Okay, so this is something that's super important. Okay, and so back to the narrative. If I know I want to be buying, we had this little one here. Is this demand? Yes. Why? Because it traded above this high. Okay, it's tested. Now it's gone. What area of supply consumed it? This one right here did. There's the supply. There's the sell zone right there. And why do we know it's supply? Because we traded below some lows here. We removed this demand. This is demand because we moved above this high here. Okay, all of these things are linked together. You have to pay attention to them. Okay, what happened? Prices came to the sell zone. They did not come to the supply, and then they went lower. Okay, and continuing on. That one is still in play. We'll leave that on the chart. sell zone. I'll leave that on there as well. Now, prices start to break down, so we need to see zones be consumed. So if we have a look at another zone, we have a little zone just here. You see the blue box. It's actually a really big zone. This is on the 4 hour. Let's look at that. It's this one just here. Okay, price is set on it, but now it's gone. You can see we had closes below that zone right there. What area consumed it? This one here. Did you see the blue box right there? Okay, supply sell zone. What happened? Price went into it. We had a pretty decent reaction, maybe a 1 to 1.5. Then prices went up through it, and then they snapped down below. Where did they go to? Here we have a child. Here we have sell zone. So they went to the sell zone, and they reacted, and then they sold off. And now we've built a base down here. We had a reaction down here at this zone. You can see how prices were able to kind of stabilize. But even though I'm going like this, it doesn't have to be complex. All you have to do is zoom out and look at it. Okay, and we're in a downtrend. Here is the supply. Why is it supply? Because we traded below this low. Prices went down. We tested. Is it valid anymore? It's not. It's been consumed by demand. Here's the opposite candle there. Let's mark off the whole area. Price poked into it, and then we left. Okay, and we have this one here. Here we have a candle, the opposite moving candle. Here we have positively expanding candles. Okay, so here we had a tiny little spot right here. Don't know where that was. Yeah, that was qualified on this white candle. This candle went through it, went down to this one here. We closed above, we traded above here. So that tells us that we probably have something in here. Okay, because we traded away from that. There's the buy zone. Price came down to the buy zone a little bit deeper, and then we left. Okay, now we have a small zone. This is a 1 hour zone right here. Why is it demand? Because we traded above here. We had a buy zone here. We did not come back all the way to this area of demand, but we did trade above this one here. This is telling us that we will likely see a reaction here. Get rid of all of these. Alright, here it gets a bit messy. Let me zoom in a little. So you have to, as they say in Danish, keep your tongue in your mouth. It's funny when you have Danish expressions, you translate them to Danish. Sorry, to English, they don't really, not always do they make sense. There's a really good one, which I love, and this is someone I use a lot in Danish, and that is, if something is really expensive, someone asks you, how expensive was it? And the response can be, for example, it will cost you the white out of your eyes. And you can relate to that. You think, bloody hell, that sounds expensive. I wouldn't want to pay the white out of my eyes for anything. Anyway, back to the task at hand. We have this, which removed this buy zone attempt. Here prices are continuing to move higher. Here we have a high. Okay, this candle went above it. There's a little zone just here. Tested. Okay. We moved away. We moved above here. So there's probably something in these candles just here. This one poked above that. We did not trade above it, so I will leave that off the chart. Okay, but we had this one here. Now that's too messy. Looking for something clear. Here we've got one that's clear. This one traded above here. We established the buy zone for that entire move, which is here. We came back to this buy zone, and we are yet to return back to this area here. Now we are just sitting sideways. What I think is going to likely happen is we're going to do this, and then we're going to likely go like that, and then go like that, and move down. But we don't know. But I reckon it's going to run for the highs of last week. But if you guys want this like a high-low, previous period high-low indicator, if you search on Google, there are loads that are really, really good. This is just something I kind of whipped up. It's pretty simple. It's actually part of a bigger indicator, and I don't want to give this out because it's so complex, and I just can't bear the support of yet another piece of software. But you can find high and low software indicators for MT4, and they're available everywhere. So just give that a shot. Okay, here this is an interesting one. I like this because when price left this, actually let's go to the hourly chart. Maybe not, I can't find. Okay, here. Oh, that's our zone. That's the one where we're going to trade. So this is an interesting one because this is just a really nice example of a high that was taken out by a swing. Okay, so this area of demand caused prices to trade above this high. That's important. Okay, and we have another really good one here. Matter of fact, this one is perhaps even better. Okay, so we could go like that, and we could wait and see what prices do as they come up here. But this is just a really clean one. How prices go up. We have slightly bigger bodies. We have smaller bodies here. I prefer this one just here. So keep your eye on that. It's a really interesting zone just there. And if we go to the 4 hour, and you can see it kind of overlaps beautifully just here. So that could be an interesting one right there. Okay, but what I want you guys to do is I want you to try and find areas of supply and demand that are responsible for consuming opposing supply and demand, which we've talked about so many times. And also I want you to find supply and demand that is responsible for trading above a previous high or low, and ensure that we have a buy zone like I discussed in the last video. Okay, well, I can leave it there. Have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.